Rose versus Carla. What do you do now? Right? I mean, it's one of these things that the problem will never go away. There will never be a press conference where Dana White won't be asked that specific questions. Insert athlete's name. What happens now? And Dana has to respond the same every. Let's see what happens. But it's very relevant. Like, there's things when the press conference happens, information-wise, that you don't yet have, such as, is said athlete hurt? Are both of these athletes okay? Like, there's reasons you just can't go and make something in that moment. But Carla versus Rose, you always want to see somebody get paid back. If somebody does something in the sport, you want them to be rewarded. Not only are they setting a tone, and not only are they attempting to provide leadership, but someday they would like that tone and that leadership to be shown to them should they need it. I'm talking about Rose here, guys. Rose goes out, she beats Joanna. She beats her quickly and handily, which is instantly explained as an upset. Instantly explained as she got lucky. Instantly accepted that Rose caught Joanna. Now, Joanna's a tough night out any way you want to do it, any weight class that you want to do it in. So if you're trying to have a victorious moment and you're trying to celebrate, you got your family, you got this real small circle, and you've got a world championship, right? This incredible moment in any athlete's life. That celebration is going to quickly fizzle. I mean, it's going to be like the music stops when you get informed that you've got to go fight Joanna. It's a stress for anybody. It would take any joy and celebration. All the things went from really fun to things just got really serious. Let's hone in on it. And I only bring that because Rose did it and she did it immediately. Tough spot to be in. She did it and she did it immediately. And she won. Okay, I guess people were wrong. I guess it wasn't just she caught her. I guess it wasn't she just upset her. And I guess it wasn't that she just got lucky. Turns out that she's really good. But you fast forward the tape a little bit of time. Rose ends up in the exact same spot. She goes out there, she starches quickly and easily Wei Li, to which got dismissed as unlucky, upset, and she caught her. So then what happens? She has to go and do it again. This glorious and victorious moment, all the air gets sucked out of the balloon because things get real serious when you find out you're going to get locked in there with a pissed off Wei Li. And Rose goes out and she does it again. Turns out it wasn't just an upset, it wasn't just a catch, and it wasn't just a lucky shot. Now, that's extremely relevant what I'm saying. Because I do not believe many of us are predicting that Esparza's next defense is going to be against Rose. And you can hang your hat on that you're a reasonable person and you understand the timeline and Chael, you're right on everything, but that fight was terrible and therefore she's not going to get to hell with that. That would have been a back and forth battle and Esparza left with the strap shrouded in controversy, with an audience on their feet proclaiming it was the greatest fight of all time. Rose is not going to get the shot. Not immediately and not next. How come? I don't have the answer to that, guys. This is not a conspiracy. I'm not like trying to bring you in. I don't have the answer either. I don't know. There's something about it. She's not. A lot of competition in that weight class. A lot of ways for Rose to have Rose's next fight be a championship fight, just not be against Carla. Carla's going to have a very hard time with competition there, as anybody would. Like, Joanna's a really tough fight, and Wei Li is a really tough fight, and the next up-and-comer's a really tough fight, and where the hell is Tatiana Suarez, and is she returning to the division? Like, there's all sorts of questions where Rose's next match could be for the title. But we all know, without being told by any level of authority, that Rose's next match for the title is not going to be Carla's next match and Carla's first defense of the title. How come? Please do not bring up the match, because it's not true. It's an argument that you could rest on, but it wasn't going to be true in any scenario. Even though she did that for somebody else, even though she did that a second time for somebody else. And it's not Carla that's going to stop it, by the way. Carla's got a wrestler's mindset. Carla for sure would return the favor. Carla understands that she's champion because she got to fight for the championship. Like, she gets it. She would give to Rose. It's you guys. You guys aren't going to demand that Rose and Carla and that we redo it. You're not going to make the same push on behalf of Rose that you did to Rose. Not only once, but twice with Joanna and Wei Li. How come? How come? What is going on there? What is the reason for that? And I'll tell you, there was something interesting that came of that match. Carla versus Rose, which is, how do you score it? And a lot of people were upset with the judges. a lot of people did defer back to, hey, first off, we don't know what happened, and that old rule that, to beat the champion, you've really got to beat the champion, and nobody beat either one, and it should have gone to Rose. That's just not the rules, but that phenomenon does exist. That is a piece of psychology within all of you, within me, somewhere within the fun, and of course within the judges, but they didn't do it that night. And the first 2 rounds and the way they were scored was brought to my attention. I didn't see rounds 3, 4, and 5. That's out there. I didn't see it, but I saw the first 2. And the first 2 both went to Carla. That surprises me. It surprises me, and one of the reasons that I would not question these judges, but I would love to hear from some judges, this has never been done. There's no precedence. There was nothing to look back on. Are you going to go back to Shamrock versus Dan Severn? It's the only time we've seen that little of activity. Fast forward from that, which at that time, I'm not certain had judges. Maybe they did. I mean, I'm going back to late 1993, early 1994. Fast forward, and you had Ngannou versus Derek Lewis. And that was also a thing of 2 guys staring at each other, but it's got to go some way, right? So when you have nobody touching each other, and then there's also a hierarchy of what you're supposed to look for. First, which is damage. Amateur boxing, that's very different. If I touch you 5 times and you touch me 1 time, I win. But in professional boxing, if you touch me 5 times and nothing happens, and I hit you 1 time and I hurt you, or I put you down, or I win. I win the round. It's damage first. After damage, I believe it goes to octagon control, which means in the first round where nobody touched each other, the damage doesn't exist, and now you got to go to octagon control. What do you do there? Nobody's wrong, but what is it that you saw? I would have suggested for you guys going into the 3rd round, because the first 2 were unforeseen disasters. But unforeseen. No precedent. No vision in your mind. No training. No expertise. Nothing to refer to. That the judges would have gone, okay, it's a 10-9 after the first 5 minutes. Okay, it's a 10-9. I've got to mark somebody, whoever I marked. And then not be confident. Not know if that was the right thing. Part of you wishing you could get your eraser out and do it the other way. Well, now you have the opportunity to fix that. You just have the opportunity to hedge that. Whoever you marked in the first round, you now mark the other person in the second round. We're even going into the 3rd. I would have predicted that for you. And I think in most scenarios, I would have been completely right. I think the psychology that I just laid out for you, many of you are going to relate to and go, yeah, that's a way to solve it. They didn't. They had it for Carla. I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't fault it. I don't fault anybody in that entire thing. I would want to see and hear, because it would be an opportunity to learn about a scenario that had never played out before. So Carla wins. Everybody's upset with her. She just doesn't have this great moment. And I've seen that a million times. 2 guys fight. I can remember back to a night. It was Anderson Silva versus Damian Maia. And all the heat goes on to Anderson. But the rest of us are looking at it and going, well, 2 guys were out there. If Anderson didn't do anything, that must mean by default that Damian did it. The first time I ever saw this was Matt Lindland versus Phil Baroni. Matt Lindland, boring. Supposed to be this boring guy. And Phil Baroni is supposed to be this super exciting guy. And when I say like this is an actual dialogue that people were accepting. They go out there and they fought each other. And the story after was how dull the fight was because of Matt Lindland, but how great it was because of Phil Baroni. I just don't understand how we get there. It was the 2 guys against each other doing the same thing. Point being, I don't think we're right to fault the judges. I don't know that we're right to fault Carla or we're right to fault Rose or blame it on one of them. I have seen contests where one guy runs away. And matter of fact, I've seen 50 of them. It was every single time Floyd Mayweather fought. Every single time that Floyd fought, if the opponent did what Floyd did, you have 2 guys running away from each other. But I didn't see that here. I didn't see Rose refusing to engage. And I didn't see Carla refusing to engage. There was something about distance. The setups were there. The plans were there. The strikes were even exerted. They all missed. We're having an argument about 2 inches. 2 inches was the problem in that fight being fun to watch and easy to score, or it being confusing to watch and confusing to score. It's interesting. And no one's at fault. I didn't love it any more than you guys did. But as we do look back on it as a way of learning and moving forward, I think it would be compelling to hear from a judge, whether it was one that actually worked that night or just one within the industry, what is the rule there? What is the lesson we learned? And if we do see it again, the audience, us, what is it we need to understand about scoring a fight like that?